Welcome back to the Who's Yanks. Bienvenue à the Who's Yanks. We're talking Canada soccer and U.S. soccer. Yes, we finally have a Canadian video. Finally, I know recently I've been doing a lot of U.S. MNT based videos because there's a lot been going on over there. But finally, as I said, the roster has dropped for Canada's men's national team for this June summer games. And nonetheless, we'll be going over that, and that's today's Indeed's video. And we'll be going over the list of names that have been called into this roster, and as well as stay tuned afterwards, as I always do, for my little own mock FIFA starting 11 for who I would play. And as I said, you guys can feel free to critique it. Tell me in the comments who you would swap around for who. Feel free to critique that up, as once again I always encourage friendly discussion on the channel. But nonetheless, we're going to be going through the names of list of names today, I should say, and basically talking about who I'm excited to see back, what names stick out, as well as who's new on here. So we do have a few new names, or one new name for sure. And for sure, I'm gonna have you guys tell me who he is. I'm probably gonna do research on it myself as well. But yeah, and I talked about announcements too. I was gonna do a video on the Canadian Championship, just like I was doing with the U.S. Open Cup, but unfortunately, both tournaments are running concurrent with each other, which means I cannot watch everything at one time. So I ended up dropping that. I did watch TFC beat Halifax 2-1. It was a good game, but nonetheless, I was not able to, because of U.S. Open Cup play yesterday, to watch Vancouver verily squeak it out. I know in PKs against Calgary, and Montreal just dropped the hammer on Forge. But unfortunately, I was going to cover those games, but due to U.S. Open Cup games too, that would be a little bit too much on my plate. And besides, the main focus on this channel is national teams and both U.S. and Canada rosters. You know, domestic tournaments are good to cover, but that's not my 100% focus. My 100% focus, after all, is the Canadian and American national teams. And this is definitely Canadian and national team related. You know, we got our whole entire roster we got to talk about. You know, it just came out, actually, I believe, yesterday. So this is the day late, but nonetheless, better late than ever. And yeah, so nonetheless, I don't think I have any other announcements, but besides, welcome back for all the Canadian fans. Long time no see, and I'm finally glad we could do a video based with related to Canada for once, and many more to come. Obviously, as there's going to be games coming played up, which I wish. Oh, by the way, before I go on, I am gonna go ahead and do a breakdown of the schedule, and yeah, Canada's gonna be playing 4 games, including 2 Nation Leagues and 2 friendlies. And yeah, if I break that down, or I should say, correction, 3 games, 1 friendly, and 3 Nations League. So here's their opponents. And on Sunday, June 5th, 7 p.m., by the way, games being played in Vancouver, Canada versus Iran, and I'll be covering that game by far at 7 p.m. And then on Thursday, June 9th, 10:30 p.m., Canada versus Curacao, which is a Nations Leagues day, and we'll be covering that for sure. And then on June 13th at 10 o'clock p.m., Honduras versus Canada. So Canada will have to travel to the House of Horrors historically, but last time they beat them there, it was at San Pedro Sula. That's where they're going. And so that's your little schedule right now. They have a little 3-game window. Of course, one of those games is very controversial, and I'm not going to get into the political BS on that stuff. But basically, I mean, to sum it up, without trying to step on any toes, nobody, or specifically many people, don't want Canada playing Iran. Many Canadian officials believe they're a security threat, but I personally, I don't want to get into this, but just let the boys play. I mean, they're just gonna play some soccer. I mean, it's a good test for Canada too. Iran's a good team. They're gonna test Canada, and I mean, why not let them come in? I mean, I guess if you're worried about a security threat, I mean, they should be played in a neutral stadium. Maybe play them in the U.S. I don't know. I mean, but no, I personally think they're fine. But yeah, and then maybe some Iranians might take offense to that. You know, Iranian Canadians, to that statement that, you know, Iran's a threat. I mean, hey, there's many Iranian Canadians I know that live here, as well as throughout the rest of the country. So I mean, I'm pretty sure they would want to see their team come and what opportunity you would have to see them come to Canada and play. So why not have that opportunity? But that's all I'm going to say for that. I'm not going to dive deeper. I've already said a little political stuff, but I'm just gonna go ahead. I just had to drop that off right there. I mean, that statement it just bothered me, and I had to get it off my chest. But nonetheless, so you got that, you got Iran, and then you have Curacao, which should be, not gonna say it is, but it should be a domination game maybe, unless Curacao brings up their Dutch-based players. I mean, Eloy Room for the Columbus Crew will probably be on that team. I mean, he's a good keeper, and keep in mind, Curacao made that heck of a run in the 2019 Gold Cup, all the way to the semifinals, I believe, maybe the quarters. But it was definitely the semis against the USA. They only lost 1-0. So Curacao, they play like that. I mean, Canada could get a good test, even though it's at home. And then finally, on the 13th, Honduras versus Canada, Los Catatos versus La Rouge. Canada will actually be tested this time in a true away venue. In a venue that they've been familiar with due to World Cup qualifying, and they've actually broken the change. They won 2-0, I believe, and yeah, I mean, once they did that, the shackles of that curse of never winning just collapsed, which is good. And so we'll see what they can do down there for the Nations League games. Until then, I mean, that's pretty much all my announcements. That's your little game, some of that I had to mention. Then we go to the Canada MNT roster. Right now, we're about to lead off the list of names. So we have Samuel Adekugbe, Milan Borjan, Charles Brim, Tejan Buchanan, Lucas Cavallini, Maxime Crepeau, Jonathan David, Alphonso Davies. Welcome back, by the way. He come back from his mild heart condition. Great to see him back in the starting lineup, and hopefully can't wait to see him play as well. Raheem Edwards, Stephen Eustachio, Donnell Henry, Junior Hoylett, Atiba Hutchinson, Alistair Johnson, Mark Anthony Kay, Scott Kennedy. Here's a new name for you guys. Sorry if I'm saying this wrong. Luca Colosio. That's the player I said I have to do a little research on now because he's new. I've never heard of him. If you guys know of him, feel free to comment in the comment section. Educate me a little bit on him. Kyle Larin. Of course, you have to have him. It's the #1 goal scorer in CONCACAF. Richie Larea, Kamal Miller, Jonathan Osorio for TFC, Samuel Piet, Dane St. Clair from Minnesota United, who stood on his head recently in a couple games, Ike Ugbo, who's really good, and I believe he has a bright future with this team, and last but not least, Stefan Victoria. So, as I said, a few names on here that you would typically expect from, Alphonso Davies, Jonathan David, Kyle Larin, your big three right now. Arguably big four if you want other names in there. Tejan Buchanan. But, I mean, the new name I have is Luca Colosio. I have to do research on him. Where does he play? Where is he from? How old is he? And just what team does he, as I said, just all the information. As I believe, he's probably a new name. It's definitely, I don't know if he's a new commit. If he is, I should probably do a video on that. But you guys, once again, let me know if he's new to the team. If so, I'll go back and do a video on him and give him a proper introduction and recognition and breakdown. But nonetheless, welcome. If he's new, welcome to the team. Of course, as I said, you got your usuals. But yeah, Ike Ugbo, glad to see him on the team. He's definitely going to get playing time. And he might very well score in this window, especially if he's playing Curacao. I could see him scoring a goal or two maybe on Curacao, depending on how much playing time he gets. If he starts, he's going to have some golden opportunities, but if he comes off the bench, he still might have some golden opportunities. So he might score one or goals maybe there, or I don't know if he'll get to play at all, but he should definitely get some playing time against Curacao. Iran and Honduras, I know those are going to be tough, but this window, this little 3-slated games is a perfect opportunity for some youngsters to get some good playing time, especially in that Curacao game, who are trying to break their, as I said in the U.S. video, and same with them, they're trying to get their youngsters to break in with the team with these lesser caliber teams. So the Curacao game is going to be, we're definitely going to see probably a different lineup there, as you're trying to get a lot of people some more playing time who normally don't see the field. And yeah, you should do that, and looking forward to that and see how they play. Of course, we've got, as I said, probably, Maxime Crepeau might play in that game, the Curacao game. Maybe Dane St. Clair might get a shot at that one too. I mean, one of those two keepers may play because it's Curacao. No offense to Curacao, but I mean they might see the field there. But we all know that Milan Borjan will definitely should get a play there. So Milan Borjan for Iran and Honduras definitely will see the field there, as those are your two tough opponents. So two good tests overall in the window, as well as some quality names here. Mark Anthony K, good to see him. Alistair Johnson, good to see him. One name that's been on and off the roster, as well as you guys know, is Tyler Pasher for the Houston Dynamo. Like in the Gold Cup, he was in form. He scored a couple goals recently, but unfortunately, he didn't crack this roster. Tyler Pasher is another good player, but nonetheless, we have some good names here, good selection in my opinion. A chance for Canada to really flex their muscles again and really work on themselves, getting ready for the World Cup itself in 2022, so later this year. And yeah, as I said, Iran, the USA is playing them, so that's a little test for a little sneak peek, I should say, for me to see how Iran plays, but it might not be their exact form, but we still get to watch them. As well as even on the other side, I know many fans have been calling for me to do a Morocco versus USA game coverage, which I am obviously going to do because it's related to the national team. And it's also a sneak peek for Canada too. Morocco, playing in the World Cup with Canada. They're in their group. And it's also going to provide a sneak peek. So why not? I mean, of course, you have to do a video on that. So no fear, I will do a video on both of those teams for your respective teams. And hopefully there should be good games. But nonetheless, I mean, that's pretty much all I can say about the lineup. I mean, we do see Raheem Edwards from, I believe, LA Galaxy coming up in it. That's a good name to see. Formerly LAFC. By the way, he played yesterday, I believe, in the El Tráfico U.S. Open Cup edition, which LA Galaxy came out on top 3-1. And so there's his little congratulations for Raheem for winning in that game. And now you're in the lineup. And then Charles Brim, who's also one of the youngsters, who's going to get some playing time for sure. And then other than that, I don't really see. Samuel Piet, glad to see him back too. Quality defender. We all know his story from Montreal Impact or CF Montreal. And yeah, glad to see him, as well as Richie Laret. I'm just glad to see all these names here. But in terms of a few other names that just stick out like sore thumbs, not really. I mean, as I said, it's your usual roster. At this point, Canada has identified their main core, getting ready for the Qatar. And nonetheless, I mean, that's pretty much what they have to work with. So that's pretty much all I can say about the roster. Those names that I saw. And now, for the moment that many of you guys have probably been waiting for, here's my mock roster. Of course, in goal, I have, which FIFA does not have yet, hopefully soon, Milan Borjan. Obviously, you got to go with him as your starting keeper. That's how I would line up Canada. Milan Borjan in the keeper position with Alphonso Davies. You got to have him. Although he might come off the bench because of his mild heart condition. I don't know if he's going to be starting right away. So he might have to ease his way back into this, but we'll see how John Herdman does that one. So if John Herdman decides to play him right away, then Davies will play that position. But if he decides to come off the bench and ease him into the situation, ease him in the games, then he'll do so. But just if he starts for this hypothetical, he would play there. So we all know Davies would play there. Maybe Herdman would do something else, but you got to have Davies on your back. So there's Davies, and Donnell Henry. Got right there. You have Scott Kennedy, right there in the center big. So I mean center back. You got him playing right next to. You got him right next to Henry, if I can say that. Then you got Sam Adekugbe, who can also play left back, but for the sake of him, I'm playing right back to him. He's good. I think he can play either or, but he couldn't. Obviously, I think between him and Davies, who gets the left spot, it's not really a competition, and by far Davies would have that spot. So therefore, Sam Adekugbe, which they've had, I believe, played together on the same, like one left back, one right back, positions in the couple games for qualifying, which if that's the case, it shouldn't be a problem. Then we go to Stefan Eustáquio in the mid position. I believe he can either play center defensive mid or center mid itself, just like Atiba Hutchinson. Either one of those players, I'm pretty sure can play the center defensive mid position role. But for mine, I have Stefan Eustáquio on the 4-3-3 position, by the way. So it's a 4-3-3 how I line up. You can play Stefan Eustáquio on the left center mid position. You can play Atiba Hutchinson in the center defensive mid or center mid itself position. But then we go to Jonathan Osorio, TFC represent. I believe he has to see some playing time. He might not start, but I believe he definitely is a quality player. Given with the list of names, I think he could very well start unless there's other names that John Herdman sees fit. But nonetheless, Jonathan Oso, I would have him in my mid three. And then we go up top to our top three. You gotta have him. There's arguably three players you gotta have. One, the top goal scorer in CONCACAF. I know he's out of position. Kyle Larin, you gotta have him. But then again, Jonathan David, he could play center striker position. But either one of those players, Jonathan David, by the way, he's right there. And you have to have both of those positions. I don't know who's gonna play where's position, but for sure Kyle Larin and Jonathan David have to be included. I believe either one of those players can play either one of those. Maybe Kyle Larin is definitely can play a wing. And then now on the right wing, which as I think should see some playing time, especially his form, Tajon Buchanan. I mean, he's got speed. We saw what he did. We saw what kind of damage he did in the World Qualifiers. I believe he's very well fit to play here. So why not go with Tajon Buchanan here? And that's who I would play. So you could arguably, and who knows, Tajon Buchanan can arguably play in the center mid position and just carry the ball up the wing. But I believe he's going to play in the wing position because that's where he's fit. And he can do a lot of damage as we've seen previously. He can carry the ball up the wing, cross it in. Maybe who's in the midfield can finish it. And that's where all magic can happen. So, yeah, that's my little starting 11 for Canada based off the list of names on this roster. Obviously, it's probably not the exact World Cup preferred roster, but just based off the names, it's a little fun. As I said, feel free to tell me who you would swap and who you would rather see play or like in the starting 11. And as I said, feel free to tell me in the comments below. I encourage that. And yeah, I mean, it's just all kinds of fun will happen when we go into those kinds of discussions. And but yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, so once again, 3 games coming up for Canada should be fun ones. Iran, Curacao, and traveling to Honduras at San Pedro Sula. Couple challenges here. Iran, as I said, quality team. We'll get to see them play in the U.S. as well in their group. Curacao should be kind of a fun match. I mean, it's still a tournament game, which by far is going to be taken seriously. But when I say fun, it might be 6-0 or 5-0. It could be a row. And then, nonetheless, you travel to Honduras, a tough venue, tough opponent. When they're all I know they struggled recently in World Cup qualifying, but maybe they can bounce back in this tournament. So we'll see how that all shakes out. But nonetheless, that pretty much does it for this. If you like this video, make sure you like, subscribe, tell your friends about it. Also tell your friends, remember to hit the bell notification that would know when any video is uploaded or posted. And tell all your friends, we've got June games coming up for the Hoosh.